So nowadays I work for UCSF, and Duan works for panel decisions. But for a while we were all under land supervision at UC Berkeley. So that's we had the opportunity to collect data from various case studies in the industry about target value design on IP projects. And we've been publishing them over the years, even though we are not at UC Berkeley anymore. We continue the collaboration. So far we have collected data from 8 case studies, and in 2015 we published on the IGLC one of the cases that the team was not able to deliver the project within the target cost. And today I'm going to present another case study to compare with that one that we presented on 2015. But basically what we've been observing is that although the success rate is pretty high for IPD, TBD projects, we've been finding that even with the supporting mechanisms of IPD, there are influencing factors that contribute or not for the success of the team achieving delivering the project within the target. So the main objective of this research is trying to find out what are those influencing factors. Okay. So I brought this case study and I created a little timeline just to explain like some key lessons learned that we had from that case study. So one of them, a big one, was that this case study passed through the economic crisis in the United States. So companies were actually willing and motivated to do a little extra to stay in the game, and that was a big contributing factor to reduce the costs of the project. Another aspect as well that differs between IPD projects is the application of tools and methods. And we've observed in this case study that it's very healthy to have from the beginning of during the design development phase, having all the trades on board and using them, and having leading discussions about how they would save some money in the project. And the main thing that we've observed is that having the key trades during that stage not only allows you to design a product that's going to bring, it's going to help you to deliver on a target cost, but also to develop the production system and think about how you can save labor hours in the field. And then, of course, during the construction phase, the companies had a lot of the realization of the expected savings by joining their forces and saving labor hours together. So I brought some examples from that project, and there's two that I really like. One of them is the multidisciplinary risers. So they developed together and used them to figure out how we were going to create this multidisciplinary riser, which was just dropped at the job site, and they were able to have a lot of savings into labor hours. And what was interesting about that too is that in the job site, the different trades were doing work for each other, regardless of which company they were working for. They would finalize certain scope of other trade just to make things easier, right? So they don't have to, the other trade wouldn't have to mobilize and mobilize again. That collaboration was interesting. I also like this bottom one here, which also with the trays doing the wall roofing. When they were done, they would spray the wall with a certain color, and that would indicate it's ready for the next tray to come in. And also it helps the inspector to identify what are the areas that were available to be inspected based on how many colors you have in the wall. This is just some charts that shows numbers comparing with all the savings that they got from developing these multidisciplinary prefabricated components. But as I said in the beginning, this was not a project that was delivered within the target cost. So what happened, right? And during the interviews, they already stated that, you know, starting off with the bar very high because of they had to make this project feasible. They were already, they didn't have much fat to cut, right, during the project. They also stated that having a client with multiple stakeholders with diverging interests is very hard because you have to accommodate both needs, and that was hard to manage. On top of that, they had an architect that was not co-located, so the communication was not very good. So the architect would talk to both the clients and would make design changes without being vetted by the whole team in regards to impact, costs, and schedule. And what I also found it interesting is the three last bullet points. So by the end of the design development phase, the architects decided that they were not being paid enough, and they renegotiated their fees. And we've been observing this in other case studies as well. Another factor that we've observed and has become to other case studies is that risk pool members that were not selected by the team were selected by the owner and started to underperform during the execution of the project. And couple that aspect with a lack of traceability, not traceability, but production tracking and control in an integrated manner, it can really lead to distrust. The risk pool member ends up eating all the risk pool money, and it causes distrust. And anyway, that was another factor that we found. So I'm just highlighting the same findings that we found from the other case study in 2015. Most of them repeat. And the main key lessons is so targeted by design, we've been observing that it's not only about designing the product, but it's also designing the production system to have savings during the construction, and also, for lack of better terms, I put it here, the service fees, right? So we have the GC and the architect involved since the beginning, and sometimes when it's not predictable how much the owner is going to spend with that team, it can be very bad for the project. There are also influencing factors that cannot be controlled by the team, right? Market conditions, how do you deal with escalation, how do you calculate escalation in your estimates, and how do you consider contingency. So to wrap it up, like we've been talking about and understanding that the success of TBD is not only to deliver a project under the target cost or in the target cost, but TBD has also a huge contribution to improve the predictability along the execution of the process. And it's very important in an IPD environment. To finalize, I just brought like some extra slides because now I have the luxury of working now for an owner, right? And working with the same companies that I was doing the research 5 years ago as a researcher at UC Berkeley. So we've been trying to be more transparent about how the design changes and design scopes influences the budget and the schedule from the beginning. And what are the fees, right? So we're being transparent about the fees that the designers are charging and how we're spending, where are our costs, right? We're also focusing on an integrated approach to risk management. So how we are going to deal with escalation, if we can buy early, and if the installation is reduced and so forth, and how we are going to deal with the risks that we receive are higher in our projects. For instance, this case of stakeholder management, how can we team up to reduce the problems with that? And finally, we've been studying ways to incentivize not only the trades but also the design team so we can have a more aligned goals for the project. you.